Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and today I'm speaking with a cricket tragic, also known as Mike Dunbar from Mamba Exploration. ASX code is M24. Now, those of you that have listened to us in the past know that Mike's projects are in Western Australia, up north in the Kimberleys, and also down south. So Mike likes to say that it's a cricket season and a footy season. Clearly, we're in cricket season because he's got a Perth Scorchers cricket hat on. I love it.
Perth Scorchers cricket hat on, Kerry. So, yep, we've got that on. And that's why you can't keep a straight face, I think. But, yeah, I thought I should wear my cricket hat for cricket season.
Well, we are going to talk about the cricket projects, I guess. But before we do, how are the Perth Scorchers going? Are they going to go against the I think the Sydney Sixers, aren't they? Is the final coming up or something?
Yeah, I think there's a game tonight between Sydney Sixers and Brisbane Heat, and the winner of that will play the Scorchers in the decider on Saturday. So, yeah, they're going very well. Had a tough season, but going well.
You know what, Mike? Just before we get into your projects, Brisbane Heat, I got to tell you, it's a massive heat wave over here. What an appropriate name! But let's get into some of the things that are happening with you. Last time we spoke about your rare earths acquisition at Hayden, which is also in the cricket season area. But you've also come out with a massive sulphide intersect at Black Hills. Which one should we start with? Should we start with the Black Hills project that's in the Darling Ranges? Let's start with that one.
I'm starting with that one. I'll take my hat off for you, I'm afraid, but there you go. Yeah, so people can actually see my face rather than just the cricket hat. Yeah, started with the Darling Range project. Look, it's been since we caught up with you and your viewers in December of last year. We've been busy would be an understatement. So the team's been flat out. This year alone, we've drilled at the Hayden project, gravity survey, geophysical survey at Hayden, but started drilling a number of EM conductors at the Black Hills project. We did the EM late last year, modelled it over Christmas, New Year, and then got a diamond drill rig straight away to go and test the 3 conductors at our high priority target area in the southern part of the Black Hills tenement. So we started drilling. I think the drill rig mobilised on the 19th of January and announced yesterday we've hit a zone of massive sulphide in the first EM, drilling the first EM hole. Okay. Diamond drilling of that, and we've got a zone of sulphide mineralisation of around about 5.5 metres in length, and around about 1.2 metres of that was massive sulphide. So very pleasing to hit massive sulphides as the conductor, and that clearly they were the conductor, rather than what normally happens is you do all this work and drill a black shale or a graphitic shale, which is worthless. Now, we don't know what these sulphides are yet. We don't know what's in them. But yeah, it's far better to hit sulphides than a black shale, as unfortunately probably 95% of all EM conductors are black shales. So we've hit something that's unusual. It is an iron-rich sulphides, but better to do that than hit black shale. So yeah, very, very pleasing result.
As a geologist, when you say, look, we've hit massive sulphides, just explain it, if you like, in layman terms as to why you think, why you know that's important and why that's kind of exciting for Mamba.
Yeah, so sulphide deposits and for base metal deposits, they occur in sulphide-rich material. So you have a whole suite of different sulphide minerals. Some are rich in copper, some are rich in lead, some are rich in silver. So a broad spectrum, some are rich in as copper and obviously in nickel. Others also contain portions and small amounts of platinum group elements. So the reason it's important is that's a style of mineralisation that's quite common for base metal deposits around the world. The other important thing is you look at other sulphide discoveries and even Julimar, which is only about 30 kilometres away from Black Hills. They are also sulphide deposits. same as Nova Bollinger, same as a number of other deposits around the world. It's a style of mineral that you're searching for. Now, there are as I said, a whole suite of different types of sulphides. Some are nickel rich, some are copper rich, some are lead rich, etc., etc. We have drilled some sulphides and got some interesting sulphides to look at. We haven't been able to identify with hand specimens yet, and hand samples or our XRF, any nickel sulphides or any copper sulphides in the core we have so far. But nickel sulphides in particular, which is called pentlandite, is very hard to distinguish in hand specimen in very fine-grained pyrrhotite, which is an iron-rich sulphide that is the dominant sulphide we've found so far. So it's really hard to identify and hard to see in hand specimen. And XRF, yeah, it hasn't jumped out at us in XRF, but that's only part of the story. The rest really is a matter of getting the analysis and the sampling done through the lab and getting the assay results back to determine what is actually in the sulphides that we've found. Now, I wouldn't expect really high-grade nickel. I wouldn't expect really high-grade copper. It's certainly not a Nova Bollinger style. I'm not suggesting for a second that it is. But what we've found is our sulphides that we need to take to the next level of analysis and get the assays done to determine the significance. Because platinum group elements quite often can occur in pyrrhotite. Small amounts of nickel can occur in pyrrhotite as well, but platinum group elements can occur in pyrrhotite. We cannot assay for that or test for that with an XRF. An XRF was gun for want of a better.
It's not an actual gun, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not an actual gun.
It looks like it when you put it on the rock.
Yeah, it does, but it's slightly different to that. But you cannot determine composition or content of a lot of elements. They're good for some bulk commodities and bulk elements, like sulfur, like iron. You can pick up obviously nickel, copper, a lot of other elements you can pick up. You can't pick up all of the rare earth elements, for example, and you certainly can't pick up gold or platinum group elements with a handheld XRF. It just hasn't got the sensitivity to determine the grades of those. So we have to put it through for assay, and that's what we've done now.
Okay. So I want to come back to the assays in a minute, but you mentioned a second ago that you're 30 kilometres away from Julimar. So this, I don't like the word neurology, but I can't help but use it because is it along the same sort of geological structure? And again, it's early days, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm just curious as to, Mike, you've been a geologist for a long time. What's your instinct tell you? Do you think that this could be along the same type of structure?
No, it's not the same structure and the same magnetic feature that hosts Julimar.
Okay.
That's a snake-like magnetic feature. You can see that it runs from Julimar and the Gondoville intrusion itself at the southern end of it, basically northeast in a sinuous snake shape up to the north. We're northeast, not northeast, so we're further to the east of that trend. But we've got another mafic ultramafic package of rocks that runs basically north-south through our tenement, and that's what we're targeting for. Look, I like the area. It's got the right rocks in terms of ultramafics mapped nearby. It's got PG anomalism in the soil samples and soil sampling that's been done historically. Okay. It's got the right magnetic signatures, and it's got some EM conductors. And those EM conductors have now been drilled, and we've got sulphides in one of them. Now, we don't know, I can't stress it enough, we don't know what's in the sulphides. I'm not expecting high nickel or copper grades at all, but we don't know if there are other things in there.
Okay.
And we also haven't hit the sulphide where the ultramafic is. I was expecting it in that first drill hole, but we haven't hit it. So it's a bit of a mystery, that one. It's not. It wasn't in the rocks I was expecting. I was expecting to hit mafic and ultramafic rocks for pretty much most of that first drill hole, and we didn't. So it's in different rocks. We hit about 2 meters of very, very altered mafic rock just above the mineralisation.
What is it? So put that into layman terms. What does that tell us as everyday people sitting out here? You're the geo, but can you put it in simplistic terms of what that means?
Most of these deposits, well, pretty much all these deposits, occur within greenstone rocks. And greenstone rocks, I mean ultramafic rocks or mafic rocks. And so there's generally an association with those types of rocks and sulphide mineralisation. Now, it doesn't mean that that's the only place you can find it. For example, the Cosmos nickel mine was actually remobilised into a granite. So they can occur outside, but as a general rule, you want to be in these mafic, ultramafic rocks, type of rock, type of intrusive rock. So that's generally where you want to be and where you want to find these styles of sulphide mineralisation. But again, we just don't know why we didn't hit as much ultramafic as has been mapped further to the south of where we had the drill hole. And there's certainly a magnetic feature that we were drilling and an EM feature we were drilling, but a very narrow 2-3 metre wide mafic zone wouldn't create the magnetic signature that we were seeing. So it's still...
So in other words, in layman terms, there's something there.
Something there, we just don't know what yet.
Okay, so when you don't know what, have you cut the samples, sent them to the lab? Like, what's the time frame?
Yeah, look, yeah, we have. But before I even get to that, just to answer a couple of your questions about why do I like the area and do I think there's potential. Our tenement neighbour to the south is Northern Resources. Now, they did a joint venture with Chalice. Chalice have joint ventured into our neighbour to the south, exactly along the same trend. And they're spending $4 million to earn 75%, I believe it is, on the tenement to the south of us. So we think it's a reasonable area. They clearly would too, otherwise they wouldn't do a $4 million joint venture for that tenement to the south of us. So look, I think we're in the right area. Have we hit the mother lode, so to speak? No, I don't think we necessarily have. But far better result to hit sulphides than a black shale, as I say. So early days, but we need to figure out what we've got. First drill hole, so you're not supposed to, well, sometimes you hit them in the first hole.
It's unusual.
Did that before, but not necessarily is always the first hole of the discovery hole. So yeah, really a good position to be in, but as I say, early days, and the assays will tell us. So speaking about the assays and the sampling, we've now cut the core already. It's been processed, cut in our storage facility in Perth and sent to ALS for analysis. That was sent in and submitted day and a half ago. And assay turnaround they've stated to us is 3 to 4 weeks. So we've put a rush on those. Platinum group elements can be more problematic, is probably a bit not quite right.
Harsh.
A little bit more difficult to analyse for than the standard elements. So it's a little bit more fiddly, if you like, to do the analysis. But yeah, we've been told 3 to 4 weeks, and so obviously as soon as we get those, we'll release them to the market and see where we go from there.
Do you have to wait for the assays to come back before you start the next bit of drilling? What are the plans?
No, we don't. That was the first hole we drilled, first diamond hole we drilled in the project. So we had another 2 conductors that we wanted to drill. We are, I said in yesterday's release, approximately 100 metres down the second hole. I can correct that now. We were actually 80 metres, and we've had a few drilling challenges that we're now overcoming, but we're 80 metres down the second hole. That target depth is around about 140 metres to the target. We're drilling generally on a good day, if you don't have some challenges, drilling breakdowns and so on, get around 30 metres a day. So in the next 3 or 4 days, we should be at the target depth and understand what the second conductor means and what the significance of that one is.
Wow.
We've then got a third conductor that we weren't going to drill the third conductor, but given we hit sulphides in the first one, then it's pretty much a no-brainer that we'll drill the third conductor as well, and figure out what's in that one as well. So we don't need to stop and wait. We can keep drilling those 3 holes. And also, another aspect of all of this that we're also doing is downhole EM down that first hole. There is absolutely no doubt we hit the conductor. But what you want to do with any EM is understand the closer you can get the sensor to the source, the better the modelling you can do on that EM anomaly or conductive body. So airborne EM gives you a broad area. Ground EM allows you to hone in a little bit better. But then downhole EM, we clearly hit a conductor, so there's no question we'll get an in-hole conductor, no question whatsoever. But by doing and probing that whole hole that we're doing tomorrow, the guys are going to go to site to do that. We'll get a much better idea of the orientation of that conductor, whether there are other conductors nearby that need to be tested, and if there are other features in the hole that need to be tested, or off the hole that need to be tested. So we're not standing still. We don't have to wait for the next lot before we keep moving forward. We're just doing it all sequentially.
Okay, and it's a lot. Now, I don't want to run out of time without talking about where was the other area?
The Hayden project?
Hayden, because last time I spoke to you, that was when you just acquired Hayden. What have you been doing since we last spoke with Hayden? Yeah,
so when we acquired Hayden, we committed to the vendors that we'd drill 10 holes around the high grade 46,000 ppm total rare earth, 1 metre of 46,000 that they had identified. So we committed to doing that, and we've actually drilled 22 holes around it.
Okay.
Just to get a better idea of what that 1 metre of very high grade total rare earths means. Now, I'm not expecting it to be a clay deposit. I think there's probably, and is more likely to be, a hard rock rare earth source for that high grade result, rather than a clay source. So that's why I've drilled 20 holes around it, to get a better understanding of the overall geometry and try and vector into where that hard rock source may be. On top of the drilling we did, we've also undertaken a detailed gravity survey, because a lot of hard rock rare earth deposits have a very distinctive gravity signature, as well as they can have magnetic signatures. Yeah. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but they will have a gravity anomaly and signature to them. And so we have done a detailed gravity survey over the large regional gravity anomaly that we identified in our DD of the project. So we're now done that. That is now being modelled as we speak. Our geophysicist unfortunately came down with COVID, but he's over that now, so I'll be meeting with him in the next few days. It's still there, everybody. So it hasn't gone away. And so I'll be meeting with him. He's finishing the modelling now, and we'll have a better idea of and a better understanding of the smaller scale geometry of the gravity anomalies that we've got on the project. Hopefully that will then help guide us to being able to drill those gravity anomalies. But need to see the data and the modelling to then see how we move forward with that. So we're going forward on about 3 fronts at the moment, which is good and encouraging. But you've got to do that when you're in the right season to do that, and we certainly are at the moment.
So, Mike, do you have a favourite child out of now? There's 3 projects. I just want to focus on these 2 for the moment. Do you have a favourite child? Because the rare earth discovery was, literally off the charts. It's still early days, but are you going to be putting equal focus on these projects that we've spoken about, or is one going to get a little bit more attention?
Yeah, you're not supposed to have favourite children, Kerry. That's what my wife keeps telling me. Look, I think what we'll end up with is it will become pretty clear reasonably soon, in the next 3 to 4 to 5 weeks, what's happening at Black Hills. So I think what we'll see at Black Hills is I think we'll see a binary outcome. And some explorers wouldn't necessarily like to see that, but I'm quite comfortable with it. I think there'll be a binary outcome. It will either have, the sulphides will either have some metal in it of interest or they won't.
Right.
And so it's a yes or a no proposition for us, I think. If the answer to that question is yes, then Black Hills will be the flagship and will be going headlong on that project. If the answer is no, and this is, I think, the beauty of Mamba and our asset base, if the answer to that is as binary as I think it may well be, then we can quite easily say, right, Black Hills isn't the favourite child, so to speak. We'll concentrate on our other assets, and we've got plenty of other assets to deal with, and we can move on from distracting ourselves with the broad range of projects. So I think it will become quite clear relatively quickly which one will be the focus for the summer months. For the winter months, I think the focus will continue to be our Copper Flats project up in the Kimberley, but we won't discuss that one now. That's for the footy season, not the cricket season. So let's go over the final of the T20 first on Saturday, and after that we'll worry about what we're doing in the footy season.
I wonder what he's going to wear in the footy season, ladies and gentlemen. Look, we're running out of time, Mike. Sorry about that, but so we can't go up into the footy season. We'll do that next time when we're in winter. Yep. Sum it up for me, Mike. 3 reasons why you think people should be sitting up and taking notice of M24 right now. Look,
we're actively exploring. That's one key thing. We've got lots and lots of news flow coming. We've got working on two very different projects in Black Hills and Hyden. So yeah, that's number one. Lots and lots of news flow on each of them to come. We've got money in the bank to do that exploration, which is also sets us apart from a number of companies who have been are needing to raise funds in the next 3 months. We're not. So that does help us. And really the broad range of projects. We have got a very clear strategy of cricket season and footy season, and we can continue to do that and drive the company forward depending on access and field seasons. We can drive each of the projects forward in a really positive way. So I think that's why, and we've got plenty of time to do it, which is great. Well, I think there's a lot of news flow coming out, ladies and gentlemen, so make sure you check them out on their website where all the announcements will be going forward. Mike Dunbar from Mamba Exploration, great to chat to you today. Put that cricket hat back on. Listen, I'll be in touch with you after the final. I reckon it's Perth Scorchers versus the Sydney Sixers. I may be on the Gold Coast, but I'm a Sydney Sixers girl, so let's see who's the winner. And I wish you all the best with both those projects. Very exciting times. Keep up to date, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of news to come. Mike, thanks so much for joining me on Small Caps today. Thanks very much, and hopefully you're wrong about the cricket. Hopefully I'll find you about the Scorchers, but anyway, wait and see. I'm not wrong.